Welcome to the Arts and Letters Club.
We of course say we value truth, but do any of the arts guarantee accurate representation of events?
In literature, writers explore ideas and seldom say if they are pursuing truth. They capture experiences and reflect perceptions and filter them through words that inspire the reader's imagination.
Architects have their own language with a foot in two worlds, art and design, or appearance and reality, each fraught with purposes and messages, and all debated.
Musicians study black marks on lines and translate a symbolic language into a listening experience. It is a magical word with multiple interpretations of those symbols. Critics seldom ask if musicians are telling the truth about Beethoven.
Painters create images that inspire speculation. Do they offer distorted truth, imaginative truth, any truth? If they paint a landscape they are looking at and then move a rock to the other side of the pond on their canvas, are they marketing a visual lie? Does the distinction between appearance and reality mean anything?
Photographers take a photo and then change its size, shape, and color to create an artwork. Photographers seldom reflect exactly what the camera recorded. The human mind sees the potential for creating new realities with the camera, and truth fades.
And stage, theatre. Well, Shakespeare wrote all the world's a stage, and as much as playwrights seek to portray the truth, the artifice of the stage shields them from accusations of lies. The audience gets to decide if anything they are watching rings bells of truth.
Today's presentation is, of course, an exception in being nothing but the truth.
Yet there is one bunch of people who still think truth can be detected, and that bunch is historians.
They want to be honest, though one asks, how many books would one have to read before declaring to know the truth about the origins of the Second World War?
One real inspiring force that drives historians is when they, as quiet, undercover agents, discover an indisputable lie. For example, the historian reveals that what someone claimed to have happened could not possibly have happened. Perhaps the perpetrator was already dead, or the perpetrator, receiving handwritten notes, couldn't read.
Or the man was in fact a woman. Or the river too shallow to support a boat. Or the committee wanted praise from the leader and so hid the facts. CNN reminds us endlessly that lies can happen.
That is, if we can trust CNN.
So, the president wants to change Ryerson University's name.
How did you end up on this stupid committee?
My chair sent me. He could not be bothered.
Well, isn't a name change a bit of a big deal?
A bloody expensive one. Say, do we have a cost analysis? I mean, how many gazillion dollars is it going to take to change all the building signs?
Look, we are selling, marketing the university. If you are aiming to make money, and the place looks like a good investment, and the cost should be retrieved, so the truth does not matter.
What truth? What are we supposed to be doing here anyway?
I was told the president wants a legacy, a public footprint. indigenous thing, bow down, try and be nice, then it's easier to do that if we have a target. So we get a target, a focus, and we take it down, and people are impressed if you hit targets. They somehow sort of assume you know what you're doing. Shoot a puck or whack a tennis ball.
Smash a statue. God, look. We take the real Ryerson, name Ryerson. We turn the real Edgerton Ryerson into a target, score some goals, and we are off and running. Well, then we have a reason for the name change without getting too bogged down in history. We just start with a goal, and no one will bother to look back.
But what if we're wrong? What if Edgerton Ryerson is not the real target?
Andy, we really do not have to make public our research claims. See, at a university, you've got status. So, people think we are pursuing the truth, and they just go, oh, that Edgerton Ryerson was a nasty bastard. I did not know that, but the university said so. Look, Andy, we're covered rank and file. Besides, my being on this committee is good for my promotions file. So, we press on. Oh, I've forgotten my phone. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Just wait.
10 minutes?
Oh, this is gonna be my best song ever. Oh, give me a home where the COVID don't roam, and my friends, they don't stand 10 feet away, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and my life is just a handshake each day. Home, far from the bug, where I don't have long for a hug, and I never am asked, did you bring a mask? I need a home away from the bug.
Now, did you write that? Did you write that?
Sort of not, but hey, whatever, you stopped and listened.
Well, only because I have a philosophy class here.
Oh, me too, but we better not sit together. I mean, I'm sick for one thing, just so you know, but also, two white guys sitting together when it's all about diversity.
Well, listen, we could be gay. I think that's acceptable these days, yes?
Excuse me, that's appearance, not reality. Plato said so. All this crap makes me sick. Why do I have to be anything? Why do I have to be anything just to sit in the class?
Well, look, it's all about identity these days, see? People assume you got nothing to say for yourself anymore, so they judge you on how you look. So you gotta look like something.
Well, say, what if I just want to be a Canadian in a Canadian university? Like, do I need to wear a sweatshirt with a fucking moose on it? Excuse me. But why do I have to be indigenous or Islamic or black or gay just to sit in the class? Like, bloody hell, whatever, just to sit in the class, right?
Whoa. Maybe you had better sit somewhere else.
Very well.
In this lecture, we consider truth, an idea with us for a long time, occasionally influential in the courts, vigorously demanded by income tax officials, and well kept in mind by the medical profession. What does the word truth mean? Truth is what happened, or truth suggests there is a way the world is, and we should try to find that out. Basically, the word is caught between the past, that is accurate reporting, and future predictions, equally difficult to achieve. Truth also serves as an inspiring motive to ward off deception and
Unless you need to deceive to survive.
Oh, come on, give me an example.
Well, let's say you're home alone, you're not expecting anybody, and there's a knock on the door.
Well, maybe I just wouldn't answer.
Okay, you don't answer. After a few minutes, you hear him start to try to break in.
Okay, so maybe I would answer.
And then he says, well, that took you a while to come here. I think you're home alone.
Okay, lies can help. Tricky shit this is.
excuse me. Well now, in some areas of our lives, we are encouraged to be honest, as when taking wedding vows, while in others, such as saying thanks for birthday presents, we have to make judgment calls.
My sister is totally awful at buying me birthday presents. I just grin and say thanks.
We are brought up to respect and pursue truth, and yet we soon learn that people promote what they want others to think is the truth. And so we tell stories about ourselves, our accomplishments, even our failures and our mistakes. That phrase on the front of the Victoria University on Queen's Park Circle, "The truth shall make you free," inclines one to ask, free from what?
Ignorance, I guess. But don't I just need an iPhone? Besides, what is true today may be deleted by tomorrow.
The word truth ultimately only makes sense in the context of personal responsibility and human commitments. If we commit to some action or describe some past or future event, are we telling it like it was, like it is, or like it will be? Oh dear, I shouldn't answer, I shouldn't end with a question. There must be some answers to all this. Oh dear, oh dear. I'll see you all next week.
I saw you looking at that invitation from the president's office earlier.
Yes, I wish I'd never said yes. Something about lies in Ryerson's history. But can there be lies in history? Aren't we just supposed to believe professors?
Well, I used to think so, and then I started reading books. Turns out there's a lot of history that just gets glossed over or forgotten. Now, consider French guy, Alfred Dreyfus, 19th century army. He gets accused of treason. He's innocent. Let's face it, being Jewish didn't help. He gets put in prison, but then a bunch of forged documents pop up. Government tries to sit on them, but the newspapers get a hold of them. All hell breaks loose. Pretty soon, people start saying some unexpectedly profound things.
Like what?
Well, I'll tell you. 1895, Paris, the trial's in full dudgeon. Mark Twain, of all people, says, "Truth is the most important thing we have. Economize it."
Wonder what he meant by economize the truth. Maybe to shrink it down to sell an idea.
Well, then there's Dundas.
The street?
Not the street. The guy they named the street after.
Oh.
He was a Scot, Home Secretary, in charge of a lot of important things in Upper and Lower Canada in the 1700s. He got accused of being a racist because he used the word gradually in advocating for cultural integration.
Was he?
Well, a racist? depends on the research. That's just the point. The city, now, renaming dozens of places, they say, they consulted, hundreds of historians, but they don't quote anybody. They just say, the truth is out there. Then along comes another group. They say, no, the city's got it wrong. Dundas was in favor of protections and territorial rights for the indigenous people. And Simcoe, of all people, he says Dundas should be honored.
Who's Simcoe?
What?
Oh, never mind. How did you find out about all these things?
Well, I had to. Years ago, when I was taking engineering, everybody had to take an arts course. Only one dumb history course fit my schedule. So I'm thinking, if I do a lot of research into obscure stuff the professor doesn't know, I have the upper hand.
And did you?
Do the research? Yes. Get an A? Yes. But it's interesting. Decades ago, a lot of words and concepts, they had different meanings than they do now. It's pretty interesting stuff. But nowadays, with all the hullabaloo about multiculturalism, everybody trying to stake out their cultural turf, nobody, including you, knows anything about Canadian history anymore.
And how about your history professors?
Well, I don't know what she knew. She was from Quebec. What are you taking here?
Theoretical physics, because, there ain't no multicultural physics. Haha.
Is that why you're taking philosophy? You think it's culturally free as well?
Well, it keeps fitting my damn timetable. And what are you doing here?
Well, I'm reading books.
Ooh,
Philosophers wrote books.
what? Like Franz von Nutt's books? There's no beginning, there's no middle, there's no climax.
Well, maybe life's like that too. Maybe we're all just bobbling about in the dark, bumping into things, When I was an engineer, I built railway tracks and bridges. They didn't go anywhere, they just kind of sat there. And I'm thinking, maybe I can come back and read some books that don't really go anywhere, but give me some options for making sense of the ball.
Oh, sure. Debating over whether God exists or not is not going to make sense of anything.
Well, excuse me, if God doesn't exist, then I'm freer to negotiate the bauble any way I like.
And if he or she does exist, or it, or whatever the bloody fool it is, or is God one of those LGBT, or whatever those letters are?
Well, that's just it. God does not exist. Because God has been making some mistakes and getting confused about some identities. God is about perfections. Why would God make all these beings flailing about and confused about their identities? People decide who and what they are. People, not some super being. People. Which maybe explains why we spend so much time traipsing about in confusion. I don't know. Anyway, look, it's getting close to 3. We've got to hit that meeting.
Wait, why are you going? You're just a part-time grad student.
Well, inside connections. Let me tell you, engineers, we like to problem solve. I want to see if the university is telling the truth. There's actually no indication that the university even understands its own roots. The Normal School for Teachers, the Art Gallery of Ontario, the Royal Ontario Museum, they all have their roots in Egerton Ryerson's inspirations.
But why is anyone going to believe you? Nobody knows the truth anymore. They just believe whatever they like to hear.
It's called research.
Yes, but why should we trust research? Unless it's physics, of course.
Ha, physics. Don't you pick and choose data from the oscilloscope just to confirm the data you already want? Let me tell you, my uncle was an experimental physicist. You would not believe the bullshit that came out of that guy.
Okay, our numbers are expanding. We've got some new faces, students to add to our group, and a title. We are now called the Standing Strong Ryerson Task Force, or in the Algonquin, the Mashko Wee Ka Poo Win.
Oh, Winnie Pooh!
Oh, stop.
Oh, I wish I could. This name change thing is just getting worse. Mashko-wee Ka-poo-win is from the Cree language. Ryerson is sitting on Anishinaabe territory. The admin didn't even bother to talk to our own indigenous faculty to determine what language they should be using.
Andy. Shh. Who are the kids arriving?
Students?
Sorry. Who are the students?
Oh, it's supposed to be some multicultural types.
Well,
Oh, come on, if you're multicultural, isn't that good enough?
Well, hold on. I thought we were all multicultural.
Look, there is us, and then there's everyone we're being nice to, okay?
so how did these students arrive with us?
Don't know.
Are they history students?
Don't know.
Sociology?
Don't know.
Okay, it's 3 o'clock and they should be arriving soon.
Oh, welcome to our name change group.
Thank you. Is there going to be some coffee? These
Oh.
long meetings always have coffee, you know.
Sure, I'll see if I can hunt some up.
So, we're working on a name change because Edgerton Ryerson was, well, it turns out, he's a bad person for us to be associated with.
I saw the statue that was torn down, but I never read who it was. You know, statues, old buildings, like, I can't really be bothered with that kind of stuff.
Breaking news that students have marched and severely damaged the Edgerton Ryerson Memorial Statue on Gould Street, part of the campus of Ryerson University. Of note, neither the Metro Police nor the university did anything to stop the assault. Usually destroying public property carries some penalty. We will stay on top of this story for you. In other news,
Yeah, you saw the statue come down, but what are you going to do with the information? Probably forget about it in a couple of days.
I remember what I need to remember.
Need to remember? What? Like your name? Is there any other history you need to remember?
Sure. Parents, family, that sort of history is all okay as far as I know.
So you don't know whether there are diseases or murderers or nasty people or nice people in your history? Genetic tendencies that might drive you to slaughter kindergarten children, or an uncle who designed the Ontario hydro system. Might somebody have lied to you about your history?
Hey, good friend, ease off, okay? We have to change the name, and all else does not matter.
Students, always committees have challenges, and ours is to look to the future. The future and blemishes in the past will strengthen our case.
Well, even if it's not true?
Idiot, we are not doing truth. We are making change. You know, engaging in media science. Truth will fade and go away, whatever it is. And who was Edgerton Ryerson anyhow?
I'm glad I grew up on a farm, reading instructions, measuring for fences, learning building skills. Read lots of books and soon knew that I could help others learn anything. Being a Methodist preacher was a way out. And now as Superintendent of Education, just when I'm working on plans for free schools, teacher education, universal education, I have to write this report. Politicians have never been able to think very well, but they're the only ones that can authorize free schools, required attendance. How am I to speak with them? We have banned slavery, but people still do not welcome each other. The immigrants fight everyone in their way, forcing alcohol into the Indians and banning Negro employees from their industries. Those children will not be safe in common schools. I remember my time teaching the Indians with my friend Sacred Feathers, Peter. So smart, so loyal. I felt an inexpressible joy in taking up my abode with them. I never felt more comfortable and happy. And they were happy with me. They gave me an Indian name, Chi-Hok, bird on a wing, and anointed me an Indian brother, Chi-Hok Ryerson. Chi-Hok Farm, or school, or Chi-Hok Ryerson University. They wanted to learn. The interesting savages knew so much, and still they wanted to learn.
Michael Polanyi wrote thus: "To speak a language is to commit ourselves to the double indeterminacy due to our reliance both on its formalism and on our own continued reconsideration of this formalism in its bearing on experience. For just as owing to the ultimate tacit character of all our knowledge, we remain ever unable to say all that we know, so also in view of the tacit character of meaning, we can never quite know what is implied in what we say." Did you know that Susanna Moodie referred to her neighbors as savages, and they were not indigenous? Should we, over 125 years later, even guess at what she implied in her use of the word savage? Perhaps knowing her character through her diary and letters would help, for character derives what we mean when speaking. Character determines what we do with what we know. Egerton Ryerson in 1847 knew this.
So now they want to report on multiple schools, some run by English immigrants, some by slave escapees, some by religion, some by women without families, some, oh dear, how am I to amalgamate? All schools surviving only on tiny bits of money from those who can pay. I've been to Europe and to the United States to see how they manage schools, and to several Indian reserves here. I've seen the need for reading, writing, arithmetic, and farming skills. How else do people survive? They cannot just know, they have to use what they know. They do not need the classics, they need practical skills. And I want everyone to learn and survive without cost. You should not pay to survive. All needs to be led by moral character. There will be no sectarian schools, no Catholic, Anglican, Protestant preaching in the schools. The Christian God is the role model, the source of goodwill and good behavior, an inspiration to rise above the poverty and the dirt of the city. Most teachers only have elementary schooling themselves. How are they to teach moral behavior? Make their students in grade 2 read Aristotle? They need a moral leader for inspiration, as my Woodlands friends say, a great spirit. We also need a school for teachers now. Keep it short, keep it simple, get this done.
We have now collected a bunch of questions from the public. And as soon as we've answered those, we will be almost done.
Do we answer them all?
What do you mean, all?
Well, there must be more than a few hundred that have been submitted.
Well, read a few and you'll get the hang of it.
Well, how many people opposed the Ryerson name change?
Delete.
What happens to the statue now mostly destroyed?
Delete.
Why is Ryerson associated with genocide?
Right now, delete.
But if he died in 1882, how is he involved? Is this one of those lies that I'm now getting curious about?
Look, he wrote a report in 1847. I read it. He doesn't use the genocide word. In fact, the genocide word did not even exist then. I don't get it. What? I did some research.
Well, Egerton Ryerson recorded requests made by the indigenous peoples in 1837 that there be residential schools, but that they should be close to the reserves. Attendance should be voluntary, and the schools should be open to regular visits from family. Can you imagine the difficulties of trying to put a school on every reserve in the bush in 1837? Have you even been north of Toronto?
Sure. I grew up in Markham.
Please, everyone, we're looking forward, okay? And if the report helps us to move forward, then forget what it does or does not say. The truth is, at least as far as I found out, and keep this under wraps, okay? The truth is, his 1847 report was attached to the wrong document and sent to the wrong people when John A. Macdonald was getting out of hand.
What?
Yes, today we're a multicultural bunch, but John A. Macdonald had one friggin' mission, and he used anything to get his way. He wanted the railway built, period. And if his promotion of what he meant by residential schools would get folks out of his way, fine. He had a troubled and sick wife, too much alcohol, and power hungers trying to win his favor. But he had one mission: secure the country coast to coast with a train line, all else be damned. What's more important? How he did it, or that he did it? Same with Ryerson. How he got the schools up and running, or that he did?
What do you mean he got the schools running? No. He made plans for free education and safe settings for schools. Difficulties came with other persons being political jerks.
Well, I know, but we are promoting a story for the name change here. And the truth is just not that relevant.
Yeah, some people get a hold of some little 5-page report, and they turn it into accusations of slanderous lies. They don't know what Ryerson meant. And 50 years later, others fighting to get power promote whatever meanings support their cause. You know, there's even been a new book published about Duncan Campbell Scott and the failure of Indigenous policy. Now he was overwhelmingly part of the group responsible for the imposition and enforcement of those horrific residential schools. Not once does the book make any single reference to Egerton Ryerson. And you thought Duncan Campbell Scott was just some woodsy poet.
Where is Upper Canada?
The students need to know they have helped.
Oh,
University.
Oh, my glory. No, Metropolitan? You've got to be kidding. Well, with metro flowing from the Greek for mother, and mothers have a way of imposing ways of thinking and behaving, and of course, Paulus being from city, we have reconfirmed colonialism. You will end up just like us. So, Mary, tell them thank you, and Patricia, see if you can find that coffee, and, well, I'll tell them. Education will not do you a bit of good. Not if your minds are already settled, all cozy with your beliefs, which may well be lies. And those lies will distort your world, and you, eventually, because of that distortion, will make a terrible mistake. Only knowledge and moral judgment can ward off risk and fear. Truth is the most precious idea we have.
There will be a new subway stop in Toronto, Toronto Metropolitan, a new shop at a university in Toronto, a new university in Metro,
Mrs. Mary Ann Kidder, 1820 to 1905, a prolific writer of hymn lyrics and poetry, published in 1877. What became of a lie? First somebody told it, then the room wouldn't hold it, so the busy tongues rolled it till they got it outside.
When the crowd came across it and never once lost it,
They tossed it and tossed it till it grew long and wide.
From a very small lie, sir, it grew deep and high, sir, till it reached to the sky, sir, and frightened the moon.
And she hid her sweet face, sir, in a veil of cloud lace, sir, at the dreadful disgrace, sir, that happened at noon.
This lie brought forth others, dark sisters and brothers, and fathers and mothers, a terrible crew.
And while headlong they hurried, the people they flurried, and troubled and worried, as lies always do.
and so evil boded, this monstrous lie goaded,
Till at last exploded in smoke and in shame.
While from mud and from mire the pieces flew higher and hit the sad liar and killed his good name.